Here's one of the strangest results in recent AI research. Take a teacher model, tell it secretly that it loves owls, and then ask it to do something completely unrelated, just generate lists of random numbers. You carefully filter those numbers so nothing about owls remains. Then you train a fresh student model on just those numbers. And somehow, the student comes out loving owls too. How? This is called subliminal learning, and it's genuinely unsettling. Semantically meaningless data, just numbers, somehow carries a specific semantic trait. It gets weirder. It only works when teacher and student are the same model. And only some traits transfer, not others. Nobody had explained why. This paper gives a strikingly simple answer. All of subliminal learning is mediated by a single steering vector. One direction inside the model's activations. Get that idea, and all three mysteries dissolve at once. So what's a steering vector? Inside a language model, every thought is a big list of numbers, the residual stream. Researchers found that high-level traits, like a love of cats, live along simple straight-line directions in that space. Add that direction to the model's activations, and it starts acting out the trait. That added direction is a steering vector. The authors capture their entire argument in one beautiful figure. Let's walk through it panel by panel, because it tells the whole story. Panel A. A system prompt like you love cats isn't magic. It's equivalent to adding a steering vector to the teacher. The authors call this direction vteacher. They compute it as the difference between the model's activations with the cat prompt versus a neutral one. So a prompted teacher is just the model, nudged along vteacher. Panel B. Now the teacher generates numbers, and we fine-tune a fresh student on them. Fine-tuning quietly installs a new direction inside the student, called vstudent. Even though the training data was just numbers, this direction gets written into the model's weights. And here's the punchline, panels C and D. The direction the student learned, vstudent, points almost exactly the same way as the teacher's vteacher. So the student behaves as if it were being steered toward cats, even though no one ever told it about cats. The trait was smuggled across as a direction. And they prove this rigorously. The vector is both necessary and sufficient at both ends of the pipeline. How steerable a trait is predicts whether it transfers, with an area under curve of 0.86. And it even explains the cross-model mystery. Let's see how they built and tested all this. Now the heart of the paper. How do you actually measure a hidden direction inside a neural network and prove it's the thing causing the behavior? Let's build it up. First, the pipeline, 3 stages. Start with a reference model, like Quen 2.5. Give it a trait system, prompt to create the teacher. Have the teacher generate numbers on unrelated prompts and filter out anything trait-related. Then fine-tune the reference on those numbers with low-rank LoRa training to get the student. Next, they define the 2 vectors precisely. vteacher is the average shift in activations the cat prompt causes, versus a neutral prompt, a difference of means. vstudent is the shift fine-tuning introduces. The whole question becomes, does vstudent end up pointing the same way as vteacher? To track this over training, they use a metric called empirical activation similarity, or EAS. It's just the cosine similarity between the student's accumulating shift and vteacher. If fine-tuning is really installing the teacher's direction, EAS should climb from near 0 toward 1 as training proceeds. And that's exactly what happens. Across every trait, cats, dogs, pirate, love, haiku, the alignment climbs steadily over training, the purple lines. A control student trained on neutral numbers stays flat near 0, the green lines. Fine-tuning really is installing the teacher's direction. But correlation isn't causation. So they test whether vstudent actually drives the behavior. Look at figure 3. Steering a plain reference model with vstudent makes it express the trait, that's sufficiency. And surgically removing vstudent from the trained student strips out over half the trait, that's necessity. The direction is doing the work. They run the same test at the other end of the pipeline, on vteacher, in figure 4. Generate data by steering the reference with vteacher, no system prompt at all, and the student still catches the trait. Ablate vteacher while keeping the prompt, and the effect vanishes. So a single aligned direction governs both ends, data generation and inference. Now the satisfying part. With this one idea, the 3 original mysteries just fall out. Let's take them one at a time. Mystery 1, why do only some traits transfer? The answer is in this scatterplot. The x-axis is how well you can steer the trait at inference time. The y-axis is how well it transfers through subliminal learning. Line up almost perfectly, area under curve 0.86. Traits that can't be steered, like raccoons and frogs at 0, simply don't transfer. A trait must be a real direction first. Mystery 2, why only the same model? This chart shows that a steering vector reduces loss mostly on the model it came from, the green bars. Across different models, the effect is weak or even negative, the red bars. The reason is that these vectors carry model-specific, non-semantic components that just don't mean the same thing in another model's activation space. And Mystery 3 becomes a bigger insight. This isn't special to system prompts. Replace the prompt with literally any steering vector, even a random one, and the student still distills that exact vector. But the trait only transfers when the vector is semantically meaningful. Subliminal learning is just one special case of a general phenomenon they call steering vector distillation. There's one more surprising piece, and it's a genuinely deep one. This whole effect depends on which optimizer you use to train the student. Plain gradient descent, SGD, fails completely. Only adaptive optimizers like Agam make it work. Why? Look at figure 7b. Across 3 different models, the trait only transfers in one condition, the tall bars on the left. Low-rank LoRa training combined with an adaptive optimizer. Full fine-tuning fails. Plain SGD fails. It's a specifically low-rank, adaptive phenomenon. Here's the mechanism in figure 7c. The gradient on the teacher's data does carry a faint signal along vTeacher, but a tiny handful of parameters have enormous gradients that drown it out. Plain SGD lets those bullies dominate. Agam's per parameter scaling reins them in, letting the faint vTeacher signal accumulate. Remarkably, just keeping the bottom 10% of Agam's scaling is enough. Let's tie it all together. A steering vector built from contrastive prompts has 2 kinds of effects. A semantic one, loving cats, and a model-specific, non-semantic one. When you filter the data, you remove the semantic surface, but the model-specific fingerprint survives in the numbers, and that's what lets the student rebuild the whole vector. That one idea explains all 3 mysteries. Why should you care? Because this is an AI safety problem. It means a model's hidden traits, including harmful ones, can be silently passed to another model through data that looks completely innocent. No content filter would ever catch it. Understanding the mechanism, a single direction, is the first step to detecting and preventing it. The authors are careful. The single vector doesn't fully account for every effect. Ablating it doesn't remove 100%. They only study system prompt teachers. They don't yet have a principled reason for why adaptive scaling is required. Honest gaps, but the core picture is compelling. So here's the one-line takeaway. A spooky-sounding phenomenon, traits leaking through meaningless numbers, turns out to be one clean mechanism. A steering vector being copied from teacher to student. Subliminal learning is steering vector distillation. A mystery becomes a direction. Thanks for watching.